And welcome to Gameography,
the podcast about video games and the people who make them.
Welcome.
We're continuing our look at Ocarina of Time.
This is Oot Part Toot.
I'm Devin.
And I'm Tim.
And let's see, where did we leave off, Tim?
Gosh, where in the great realm of Hyrule did we last save our game?
Well, here, we can just
I mean, honestly, in that first episode, we basically didn't talk about anything.
We talked about a good amount of things, but it was a little all over the place,
yeah,
I'd say.
We called Zach. That's all I remember.
Yeah. Okay, we talked about how that early on it might all, like, the plan was to make it all in Ganon's castle.
Sword fighting. First person. Well, apparently Miyamoto's plan for the first person was that he had an image where you'd be walking around as Link in first person, and then when you got into a fight, it would like change to an outside side perspective camera. Interesting.
But I think it's Koizumi said like that he basically like didn't even like try and make that. He was like, yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, just I mean, when that's the whole reason I don't like turn-based like RPG games. Basically, is because it's like I don't want to fight to like change to a different game. You know what I mean? Listen,
sure.
Maybe this is too much of a tangent for Gameography, the podcast, but
I mean, no, I get what you're saying, but like, so you don't like that? You don't like that in Pokemon when like it goes in?
Yes. Okay, that's the only example. Okay, of where I like it.
Even though that's exactly how it works in all the other ones.
Yeah.
Do you just like it because you can see your character coming out of a little ball?
Yeah, I do. I like to be able to see your character coming out of a little ball. If they did that in Zelda with what you're talking about, then I wouldn't have minded it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the sword fighting a little bit more. Because, I mean, this is an early 3D like action adventure like behind the back game, but it's also like there had been other ones obviously before this, but like it's really like the first one where it truly feels like like you're like actually in control of what's happening. I feel like.
Especially compared to like Mario, for example.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So they talked about how in making Mario 64 there would be there was an issue of having getting two 3D objects to like align their axes, and their example would be like the signs in Mario 64, where it'd be hard to like actually square up in front of it so you could like read it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, because you can only like hit A to read it.
Yeah.
When you're like actually like lined up with it. So they were trying to figure out how to like fix that essentially.
Oh, and that's where the targeting.
That's where Z targeting comes from. Yeah.
Interesting.
And
I mean, actually, it is kind of crazy to think of Z targeting because it's like they still hadn't figured out how to do like the double joystick type of 3D.
Right.
But they
didn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they found an alternate way that feels to me like just as fluid, basically.
Yeah, it still works. It's still like fun.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of different competing tales of where it came from, but they both center around the like development team going to the let's see, where is it? The Toei Kyoto Studio Park, which is essentially like it's like the Universal Studios Park kind of. Where it's a movie theater like run like theme park, like theme amusement park kind of place. Yeah. And but it's like obviously like their whole thing is like samurai movies and like ninja movies and stuff. Yeah. So they have like actors like that you can like watch like fight scenes and stuff when you go there. I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but in the 90s, that's what was going on there. So they went to go go there and like research basically.
Yeah, guys, this is for work. This is for research. We have to go to this amusement park with samurais.
And one, I believe it was the Osamu, the like script director, noticed this. It seems like they were obviously like just kind of all working on everything together, but that there was like a fight between like the hero guy and then like all these other guys. And what he noticed is only one bad guy would come up and fight him at a time.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise it would just be like insane
Yeah.
and he would obviously lose.
Yeah.
But they would all like there'd be a bunch of bad guys, but they all just be kind of like hanging out.
Yeah.
And then one of them would run up, and you can totally see this if you watch like 80s like ninja movies and stuff.
Yeah. That makes that's familiar to me.
So that obviously like came into the game where if you're in a fight and you target somebody, the other like characters don't come up and attack you.
Which is funny because that feels like it should be so obvious and like easy, but it's like when I'm fighting two of those Stalfos, how do you say that?
Yeah.
It's
or the like lizard guys.
Yeah. Like there's something about the way that they made it work where you feel the threat of like it still feels like, oh, I need to be careful of this guy. Your guard's not down, but at the same time it's like totally possible to do because you're only fighting one guy at a time.
Yeah. Well, it's because like I feel like what makes it work is that the other guy or other guys that you're fighting are still like moving around in the background. They aren't just like standing there. Because then it would seem like really lame, but it seems like everything is like really still happening and like dynamic. Yeah. Even though they're just like circling around you this whole time basically. Though sometimes they do switch, like especially that in the Dodongo when you dungeon when you first fight the lizard guys.
Oh, okay.
Remember the
Like
if you hit one, then it runs away and the other one comes up.
Oh, I don't remember that, but that makes sense.
Because you didn't play it this time.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I actually haven't played that in forever.
Yeah. Okay, and then another guy noticed in another fight that like the like hero guy was like fighting ninjas and a ninja like threw out like this like sickle and chain weapon, and the guy like caught the chain and then like held onto it, and like the ninja was holding the other side, and so they were like circling around each other.
Oh,
and so they got the idea of like making like an invisible line between like the characters basically that would like keep them tethered.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah,
you move as if that's what had happened. Like, where you're pulling on something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's funny.
Where you just like are circling around each other. Yeah, that is so great. That's how they like came up with all that stuff. And it's what's interesting to me is that like, I mean, it makes sense because they like other games figured out ways to do 3D like combat without needing that, but it's still weird to me that like there weren't other like games that just like didn't steal that idea. I feel like it's like
it is weird.
Really, only other Zelda games have used it.
I can't think of really another game at all that uses anything really that similar to that.
Yeah.
Whereas, because it's like, I mean, I guess if you were really in a fight with some guys, like obviously it's a completely moving perspective the way that your vision will move around everything, but it's like if you're one-on-one, like engaged with someone in that way, like you'd be kind of circling around. Like it's a very natural like pattern of movement. I feel like. Yeah,
and the animation and stuff is all like. Looks really like cinematic and like correct and everything for like when people like lunge in and then like the guy will like raise his shield and stuff. Like it all looks right, so it feels right too.
Yeah. You know, I mean, this is off topic, but it's like all of this game's movements and combat and everything, all the like fine-tuned details about it are part of, I think, what makes it feel kind of weirdly more sophisticated than any of the other 64 games we've talked about that comes before it.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah. Like, they just like put so much detail into everything.
Yeah.
And like that, there was like, the game was supposed to come out much earlier than it did. Because like, the N64 came out and basically all it had was Mario.
Yeah.
And for like 2 years, people were like, when is Zelda coming out? Yeah. And I think this like story is that Miyamoto, was like, he was like the producer of it. And he was kind of just like let them develop for a while. And then at like a certain point, he came back and was like, this isn't working. And he had to like come in and like get more hands on. And he was like, we need like another like year to like fix everything up.
The Miyamoto perfectionism. That's how you get Ocarina of Time level games.
Did you have any other thoughts about the combat? No. For me, it felt like, obviously, maybe this is different from your experience, but like it all feels
like it feels like really simple to me at this point. Like I remember playing as a kid, and it was like really cool, and it would feel like challenging to fight enemies and stuff. But it's like, okay, you just like wait for them to attack, and then you attack.
Yeah. That's funny. No, because I really don't feel that way about a lot of the enemies. Where even at the end, like the Stalfos or those the Gerudo. Like
the big armored guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys are hard, yeah.
Where it's like, it's not always as simple as like, wait till they attack and then strike. Wait till they attack. It's like a lot of time if you keep on jabbing, you'll get in, and then sometimes they'll strike you back though. And it's like, it feels very
Well, you gotta
real.
learn, You know what my trick is with those guys? Take out bombs and you throw bombs at them.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Are you kidding me? I did not ever think of that.
That's what I did as a kid. Because it was like I was getting effed up by that guy. Like the first time you come up, you fight him.
Yeah, because he really does F you up.
He takes like 5 hearts with a hit or like 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that was probably among the most fun enemies to me, because it is just scary enough because of that. Where it's like when you beat him, it feels so good.
Yeah.
But it's not actually that hard, Like I don't. Think
Yeah, once you
ever killed
learn
me.
like his like little tells, of, like when he's gonna swing his like axe, then you can mess him up. But
you pretty much just gotta dodge his moves, and then you or go around to the back of him.
Yeah, but just kind of like roll when he's about to swing, and then you can get him. Yeah, I think the enemies that like more like that are less like cinematic, but maybe like, or maybe in this playthrough, at least for me, were like more fun. Were like the other like kind of weirder enemies, like the first dungeon, I feel like has a bunch of like really interesting enemies, like the spiders that spin around.
Yeah.
And then like the Deku guys that you gotta like do the shield and bounce it back.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I take those for granted, because it's like granted, because I like have played against those guys for so many times, and because they never stop coming in the game. But it's like they're actually so interesting, especially as the first set of enemies that you fight.
And then there's also the like the Deku like stick guys.
Yeah.
That like bite you.
Yeah, those are fun. And then
like,
the giant ones.
Yeah. The first note I wrote down about this game was that like, because I had recently played the beginning of Wind Waker, I was like, the beginning of this game is so much better than the beginning of Wind Waker. Like it is like it's just so much better. Like, because you immediately in this game, like, you could run around in like the little Kokiri village or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
For a while, but then like basically like the first thing you do is go to the first dungeon. And so you're like just immediately like in a dungeon, like doing Zelda stuff. And also like all of the enemies are like really interesting and different. Whereas in Wind Waker, like the beginning of that game is like pretty boring. And then there's that whole like really painfully long, at least for me, it was like very like, because I kept getting caught in the like sneaking. There's like a whole stealth dungeon that is really annoying.
That's actually a very good criticism, because that sneaking is like, to me, that's among probably the hardest Zelda sneaking levels I've ever played in any of the series.
It's so long.
Yeah, like, it's so long, and I feel like it feels like, I mean, I haven't played in quite a while at this point, but it's like, I remember it being very like heavy consequences for being caught, where it's like, I feel it's like you can go through so much of it and then get sent back to the very beginning, right?
Yes, you can go like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah,
because like also it's like it takes forever. Like the reason why the sneaking sections work, even if like they're not like amazing or anything, but like in Ocarina of Time is like at the one with like getting to Zelda the first time at the castle is like you can get through that in like 2 minutes if you know like when to stop and stuff. And also like the guards move really fast. So it's like, okay, you wait here for 30 seconds, they'll turn around. The one in Wind Waker is like the guys move so slow, and they don't tell you at all, or like there's no indication of how far they can see or like anything. So it's just like, I hope but they don't see me at this. Like there's like that guy in like the distance face towards me, and like he doesn't see me now, but
Yeah, I do feel
Yeah.
like in that one I remember being frustrated a lot by just like, how did you see me?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like just randomly people realizing you're there.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, because I also feel almost similar to that with the Majora's Mask one and the monkey,
Yeah.
where I love that one's like design and like that level layout and stuff, and just the visuals. I just love that whole monkey dungeon thing, or not the monkey like
The Deku
tower.
Palace.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, they're not the monkey. They hate the monkeys.
Yeah.
They're the monkeys in cages.
Yeah.
But it's like that one is so frustrating because you can
Yeah, it
get
can be.
thrown off so.
Well, what's frustrating
Easily.
about that one is not the like. Well, I mean, the running on the ground, like sneaking part, can be frustrating, but it's like you can get through that pretty quick once you realize which path you're supposed to take.
Yeah.
The frustrating thing for me as a kid was once you get into the flowers and you're flying over it.
Yes.
If you miss, then you just have to do that all over again.
1000%.
Yeah, and there's like the guys like shooting, like the nuts at you.
Yeah.
That if you just like don't dodge those, you're just F.
100%.
And that is really
That will
rough.
F you. That'll F you. But Devin, save it for the pot.
Yeah. Okay. But the other main point of that is like then the first real dungeon of Wind Waker is. I mean, it's a good dungeon, but all of like there's like one enemy type, and it's like the most basic like
Yeah.
enemy.
What's the first dungeon in Wind Waker?
It's like you go to this island, and there's it's like the island where you learn like the wind song or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That you conduct, and then it's like the island where the bird people live.
Oh, the bird one.
And,
Oh, yeah.
and
okay.
the dragon at the top of the mountain
yeah.
is like enraged or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you have to go like calm it.
Mm,
Yeah. So
Man,
it's like
I don't-
you're climbing up this mountain. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know how you're so critical of Wind Waker. It's just so magical to me, and I didn't even play it as a kid. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, yeah. Like I would play it. I would continue playing it if we weren't playing all these Zelda.
yeah, yeah.
Like I wasn't like not enjoying it,
Yeah.
but it does to me. Like it is clear to me that it's like, oh yeah, this is like the same. A lot of like the same, in certain ways, the same like design philosophies behind Majora's Mask.
yeah,
Because it is like the same guy.
yeah.
So it makes sense.
Makes sense.
But okay, back to Ocarina of Time. So a big deal for Miyamoto was that cutscenes had to be done in engine, like real time.
Yeah, that is a very noticeable thing in this game that
Mm-hmm.
I think adds so much to the cutscenes.
Yeah. Well, his reasoning for it was not like an aesthetic choice or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
It was that around this time there was a lot of games doing pre-rendered cutscenes where they would like do like CG,
Yeah.
like kind of like what was in movies and stuff.
Yeah, I can't think of a good example, but it is there. I mean, that's so many games. Like
Yeah.
it's
I feel like that was like
standard.
the real like PlayStation style.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
like what a lot
yeah.
of like games on PlayStation
Yeah.
did. But his issue with it was if you made a cutscene, like those would take like weeks to months to make. So if they then decided to change something, like they'd be like, no, we can't change it.
That's
like-
a good point. Yeah,
And he wanted to have the flexibility to be like, we need to change the story, or like, we need like this actually needs to happen here. And they were completely like moving when things happened around and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Like up until like the last few months, which is really interesting.
that is.
Um,
But yeah, and I mean, just like I feel like whenever you have like a really pretty cutscene, it's like when that comes on, you get taken out of the game, and then when it comes back to the game, you're almost like disappointed by the game that you're returning to because the cutscene looks so much better
Yeah.
in a lot of games. And so it's like when you have this style, it's like it's just such a smooth experience. It's kind of weird that that's
yeah. Well, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of games these days
man,
Do-
these days.
do like in-game cutscenes more because like the graphics are like so good that it's like doesn't really matter. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I agree with you for the most part. Like there are some, but it's like Yeah, I agree when it's like you're playing and then it goes into one of those and then back.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like annoying. Like other games from the time, there was like they were promoting the game before, like, you know, like
Yeah.
years before the game was going to come out, basically,
Yeah.
or like maybe they thought it would come out earlier.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that they advertised at different points that didn't actually end up being in the game.
I think this is the game that to me is the most of that. I've never seen a game with so many like images.
Really,
And
do you know about some of this stuff?
I just know that I've seen that video where it's the sword fighting and it doesn't look at all like the real game.
Yeah, well, that was just like a pre-run. Like there wasn't even
Yeah.
a game at that point.
Yeah.
But there's like there's a bunch of things that were like urban legends, where it was like it was in like, you know, like magazines and stuff, like, and then people thought it was in the game, and like I was reading that there's people who would just were like literally like 15 years later like still thought it was in the game somewhere. There was a picture of like a
Just haunted by
a
these
Triforce, like Link opened like a treasure chest and there was like a piece of Triforce in it, and they were like,
okay.
"Where's the Triforce?" And there's a whole like breakdown online that I'll link to on our website, gameographypod.com.
Oh, so if I wanted to see this and other images and maybe subscribe to us on different social media, I'd go to gameographypod.com.
Yeah, gameographypod.com.
What if perchance I were on twitter.com?
Well, it's very easy. You just leave off the .com, just gameographypod.
Oh
on
my
Twitter.
goodness. Wow.
But yeah, so there's a lot of beta, different like versions of the game.
Yeah, cuck.
Yeah, beta cuckoos, as they're called in this game. And here is a from probably some like French like game trade show or something. Here's a video. Tim, if you can give us any insight on what is being said.
En exclusivité mondiale, les toutes premières images de la nouvelle saga du plus grand jeu d'aventure.
Yeah, this is what it's called, Zelda 64. They showed like a skeleton guy and it
dans
looks
un univers en
so
3D
bad.
réel.
Yeah, they just keep on saying Zelda 64.
It's Link in his house.
And that's like from a top
Yeah.
down perspective. And this is like a
This is the Great Deku Tree, but it's like quite different looking. It's like, I mean, it looks like a lot bigger area. This song, like these dungeons aren't even like recognizable, basically. I mean, like kind of like the backgrounds were used, but it's like not these areas. Really.
yeah. Also,
You can see that like on the interface, there's like no B button. It's just A.
wow. That was an experience watching that.
Yeah.
I would really recommend you go to what we said before and go
Yeah.
watch that because
Yeah, we'll put it on. We'll post it on Twitter for sure.
yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the French was just they were saying you know, like the brand new saga, like experience a world between times,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Zelda 64. Just your boilerplate stuff.
Yeah. So another interesting thing that was cut. There's a bunch of different stuff, and again, we'll link to more if you're like interested. You can look at more. There originally was a lot less songs to play on the Ocarina,
Really?
and there was some of Tim's foam soundproofing stuff is falling before our eyes. I thought these ones didn't fall.
This foam has been such a hassle. You wouldn't believe. I
Like-
cannot get it to work.
Is like everything. I mean, it's working,
Yeah,
But-
it sounds good, but
but it's not sticking.
yeah, getting it to stay on my walls.
Yeah. Okay, so there was a lot less songs. So like there was, but like the same actions were in the game in different ways.
Oh,
So
okay.
like, there was an item there was like a whistle or some sort of thing that you would use to like call Epona instead of doing
Oh.
the song.
Okay.
And then there was, what was the other one? Okay, instead of the song of the sun, right? That's the one where
The
you
sun song, yeah.
the sun song, yeah, where you can change from night to day.
Mm-hmm.
You would go in. It's fallen. Just let's just let it go. You would go into like an inn and like sleep for the night instead of
Oh,
doing the song, which is
that's a lot less convenient.
yeah. makes sense where they took it out. Okay, but the big thing is when you're an adult, your goal is to get the 6 like spirit medallions from the temples, to like free the sages or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the medallions actually even do.
Yeah, honestly, I don't either.
But you need them. So your goal is to go get them. And so those were items in the original game. They were like magic items.
Oh,
so
they did stuff?
Yeah. So
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. And so like instead of like because you get magic spells from the great fairies. So some of them are in place. So like the fire metal is like Din's fire where like does the attack.
Why didn't they do that? That would have been really fun.
The ice or the water temple one was it was called the ice metal, and it lets you put out fire with it.
Oh, that's cool.
The green one, the forest medallion, was called the wind metal, and it lets you. It's like the same as the other spell that lets you warp to the beginning of the dungeon. The soul medallion. I'm not sure which. I think there was even more than because.
Oh wow.
Because you get the. Never mind. So the soul medallion would be from the spirit temple.
Oh.
And okay, this is the craziest one. It lets you become Navi.
Oh, what?
So like people were saying that you would like. The theory is that like you would use it to like fly, like you would like first person like fly to like locations you couldn't get to.
Yeah,
and
they put that in Wind Waker.
They put that in Wind Waker?
Yeah, you're not Navi or anything like that, but it's like you can control this bird character. You fly around.
I read about that. Yeah. And the theory is that they switched that out for the Scarecrow song.
Oh,
where like it puts the Scarecrow in places that are like you couldn't get to otherwise.
I never did that, by the way.
I never did it either. Yeah. Actually, maybe I did like once, but and then the Metal of Light would illuminate things.
Oh, okay.
And then the Metal of Darkness. I'm reading the Japanese because the like translation, like somebody put it into Google Translate, like they found these descriptions in like some weird place.
Oh, that's cool.
And like put it into Google Translate, but I'm looking at the original Japanese because like the translation doesn't make sense. It's if you use it in C, it's straight. That's not what it means. It means it's like what it's actually saying is it's like it like gets dark.
Oh, okay.
And then it says the next line is it's dark and the enemy doesn't even notice, which is like a direct translation, but I guess you would use it to like hide from the enemies or something.
Ooh,
I don't
that's
know
cool.
what.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so pretty cool stuff. But all that not in the game.
Yeah, I really think they should have done that. I mean, obviously, that can get kind of out of hand with navigating so many different little mechanics like that because there's 6 of the medallions.
Yeah.
But I do feel the spells are just a little bit weird to me, where they just didn't. It's especially because it's like they're so almost optional in getting them. Like I didn't get Din's Fire until I had to get into the Shadow Temple, and I didn't even realize I had missed it. I
didn't even. Oh. Do you need it in like the first room or something like that?
Yeah, to get into the Shadow Temple, to illuminate all the torches to get in.
Right.
And then there's several puzzles in the Spirit Temple that you kind of need it for.
Weird, yeah. Because you get it. Where do you even get it? I don't even remember.
You get it in a random fairy temple or fairy fountain that's like on the way to Zelda's palace as a kid.
Oh, yeah. Because
that's when you would get it.
Yeah, I remember somebody tells you like that there's like a fairy fountain around.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hyrule Castle, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's people that tell you
because
that.
you get to go back with the bombs to get it after. So,
yeah.
But I also a thing that I note that I was thinking about with the spells is I think that was a direct inspiration for, and actually because it's kind of what you're saying with the medallions in Breath of the Wild, the like abilities you get after beating, awakening the sages in the divine beasts, you get the spells which are like that lightning one, which is a lot like the Din's Fire. You get the defense one, which is, I think, basically the same as the one in this. And I almost feel like the name is almost the same, too.
I don't know.
Even though they're not the same character, I don't think.
It's like somebody's like grace or something, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's not. But yeah. And then there's not really a comparison for the Wind one, but yeah, that's interesting.
No, it's almost like the same people making these games.
Yeah.
So this game,
Oh,
composed by our true star of gameography, Koji Kondo.
Secretly, not even, well, obviously not secretly, but
Yeah.
truly the secondary focus of this whole season, the most consistent person.
Yeah,
Koji Kondo.
yeah. He's done more games than Miyamoto in this season. I think there's only been a couple of games where he wasn't the composer.
Yeah.
Like I think like
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the game's
hip.
pre him.
Yeah.
But then also like Excite Bike and stuff, I don't think were him, but
Yeah.
everything after that.
Yeah. And I mean, when
Straight
it's not him, it's
Kondo.
Hip Tanaka, who is like, just a whole other part of the canon.
Yeah.
But Koji, this is where Koji's like, okay, guys.
His magnum opus.
Yeah. Because there are just so many songs, and every single one of them is like
yeah.
a masterpiece.
Yeah. I truly like I think this is my favorite video game soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like
And I mean, well, because it's like this just one, it is just an amazing soundtrack. And then it also just, it's like the home or the beginning of so many of the most iconic Zelda songs that never stop coming back, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Epona's song, is one hearing. The one we keep on singing.
The Gerudo Valley.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's one of the best ones to me. I mean, Song of Storms.
Oh, yeah, Song of Storms is I mean like the Song of Time. I don't know
Song
if that
of
comes
Time.
back in any of the other ones.
Yeah, I
besides
guess it
Majora's
really
Mask.
doesn't, other than Majora's Mask. And even in Majora's Mask, I'm forgetting, but I don't think that you really hear the like Temple of Time version of it. You only ever play it.
You just play it, yeah.
But also, something that I kept on coming back to it or thinking about is that this is, I think, the single most interesting and effective use of music in a video game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like it's like yeah, I was very surprised that in all of like the interviews and stuff I read, like that never came up.
Yeah.
It's like what why aren't you guys talking about
Yeah,
this?
people
like,
really in general just never
like there was
talk about it the way it
yeah,
should
but then
be.
there was like an interview with Koji Kondo and like it wasn't talked about. That it was like music is part of the gameplay in this game. And it's like it's not like a music game.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's not like Rock Band.
Yeah.
Rock Band Zelda would be great though.
And it's interesting, one, because I always think about this in playing this in Majora's Mask, where it's one of the most interesting and like realistic to me, like forms of spell casting in a video game.
Yeah.
Where like think of Skyrim, a game where I always play as the magic person in Skyrim, and so you're using spells, but it's mostly just these different attacks.
Yeah.
This is
Just
like
pressing,
your
a button. to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And it's like do I shoot fire or ice?
Yeah.
There's like light differences. In this, you are literally casting spells that often are just teleporting you somewhere, but sometimes have very specific uses that it's like very much a true fantasy spellcasting system that like
Zelda's Lullaby is like the most like versatile
Yeah.
one where it's just like you can do it to like open up random doors and like stuff and like you need it in like the water temple to like it's just like I guess like the like story thing is like it's probably like this song passed down through like the Hyrule nobility or something like that that they can like access secret locations and stuff, but it's just like
it's kind of weird.
yeah, but it's just like great because then you can also like use it on like certain people and then they're like they're like oh you're cool.
Yeah, it's like get into the cool like Goron club and just play the song. And I think one of the best examples to me is the Song of Time in Majora's Mask, because in this one it's almost like weirdly underutilized to me, mostly because I'm like more
comparing it to Majora's Mask. Yeah, I agree.
But in Majora's Mask, where you can travel through time with it, significant to me.
Yeah, it
You can go
really
back in time.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that you can't do that.
Yeah, it's
Song
kind
of
of
Time.
funny.
Like really the only thing you do use it for is you use it to open up the Temple of Time.
Yeah,
And then you also use it to like
get rid of the blocks.
get rid of blocks.
That one I'm always like,
it's like what does this have to do with time?
Yeah, why? It's like why did you make this the block? Yeah, it's very weird. But another aspect of it to me too is that it's it's like you're actually playing the instrument in a way that is very immersive because like
like you're actually playing notes.
Yeah, and like I literally play like I'm a musician. I play instruments and stuff. And like when I play the ocarina, I never know how to play the songs. I figure it out by ear, literally the way that I would with like a piano or like a real ocarina. It's like so crazy how simple this is, but how like truly.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about
complex it
because I believe Koji Kondo, and you probably know this, but like said it's only like five or I think it's only like four. Wait.
5 notes.
Is it 5 notes?
Yeah.
But I think one of them is like the same note, like just an octave different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he talked about how like obviously that was hard to like come up with a bunch of songs. And then he was like, and then I had to do it again with Majora's Mask. But
yeah.
like, yeah, do you have like, I would like, whenever I think about it, I always think like, is there like some like secret to like why he picked those like,
Well, actually, yeah. Here, can you hand me that ukulele? So
coming from the Dirty Clothes Hamper.
That's where I keep.
So people know.
It's a really great storage for an instrument. It's in the dirty clothes because it can't fall over. But so something interesting is that it's like,
and it smells good.
yeah. Yeah. The notes that he picks for the 5 notes are not at all the ones you would think. Where it's not like it's not like
C, like
it's
G.
Yeah, I don't actually know what the notes are, but like the scale, it's I think this might be wrong, but it's called the Dorian mode, which is like
I've heard of that.
It's like
from Finding Nemo, right?
yeah, it's like the Dory. It's the Ellen DeGeneres mode. But it's like notes in a scale that's like kind of atypical, and the notes you have are like the 1 and there's 5, and the octave up it's like is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so
the natural notes are D, B, A, and F is what it says.
Yeah. Yeah, so the notes are, and that scale is like, to me, it's like a very mysterious scale, and I feel like that's a big part of the tone of the music, and it's like, I mean, you can hear how kind of like interesting and different all these, and memorable all these songs are using only 5 notes.
Yeah.
And of course, once they continue on past your playing part, there's more notes, but it's like, that's a big part, I think, of why, where it's like...
Well, and what's also amazing about it is like there's songs that like feel very like resonant or whatever, like I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of is, but like wholesome. But there's also songs that like feel like they have that like odd energy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of the temple songs that you learn, like the Shadow Temple one and stuff.
That one is that's a great example, I think.
Also, we haven't talked about how like a lot of the songs are duets, which is great.
Yeah.
Like when you're learning, especially the like the temple songs that you learn from Sheik, like they're just so great because it's like they'll play a little bit and then you play a little bit and then it's like you're playing together and the camera's like circling around you guys. It's so great.
Yeah, and those, I find it funny because none of those songs are like iconic Zelda songs, but like they all have like a really nice charm,
good.
And like they're all kind of interesting in different ways.
Yeah, like they're all, I totally agree. They're all like pretty awesome. I think I like the first one a lot.
Yeah, I like that one too.
And are they all dances or like?
Yeah, right? I think so. Like, or basically all of them are.
It's the Minuet of Forest.
And then there's the like
Bolero of Fire.
Yeah, which a bolero is probably some kind of dance song or something, right?
Are they dances or are they like, or are they musical like
I feel
types? There's the Serenade of Water.
Yeah, I guess they're like classical forms or something.
Nocturne of Shadow.
Yeah.
Prelude of Light and Requiem of Spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess they're actually not dances, but several of them are dances because that's one of the main uses of music.
Dude, when's Darunia gonna spit a fat flow over this?
Oh, this is so good. And it's all percussion.
Yeah. Like, this sounds like nothing else in any other video game, like, ever.
Yeah.
It's, like, so insane.
You know, I feel like there's something to the fact that with the songs of the different places, like the different, like groups of people, not people, creatures, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, this sounds like a culture of music, but it's not emulating any real culture. This is like a completely imagined, like, cultural, historical, like, genre of music.
Yeah, so, and then here's the Zora's Domain.
I guess they are kind of emulating. Like, that other one could be like some kind of African, like, music with percussion, and this could be more like Caribbean.
Yeah.
But still, it feels like, oh, this is the music of the Zoras.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like, oh, this is like a kind of knockoff of like a Hawaiian music, whatever.
Yeah. I'd say the one that most sticks out for that is the Gerudo Valley one, which is like, it basically is just like I don't know what,
like a Latin kind of.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly, but like I've literally, like, my mom has just like classical CDs, and she's put on like CDs of like guitar, and it's like, this is literally just like the Gerudo Valley like funny. Riff. Like, it's like,
I bet that she's probably played, knowing Koji, probably played songs that like actually directly inspired air quotes
exactly
him.
Yeah. This is also like, this is like the last like console basically where it wasn't just like real music. Like, it wasn't just like CD music, you know, like tracks. It's still like being just produced.
Yeah.
Like,
just like in console MIDI.
Yeah. So great. I should mention, because I haven't brought this up, but I did play this in Japanese.
Oh, how
was
was that?
Playing Majora's Mask in it as well. It's good. It's not.
Is it Ichiban?
Is it what?
Ichiban?
It is Daiichi, baby.
That's Daiichi, baby.
It wasn't like. I was expecting to be like, I'm gonna like be able to like tell when things are different, but it's like, I don't remember what they said, like in English. Like, this doesn't really. I did have a thing though that I noticed, which I don't know if I even ever went back there as a kid, but in Hyrule Market, you know how you can like go to the left into like the alley.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I don't think I literally did that once in this playthrough.
Okay, so like, did you not go to like the Bomb Chew like shop? Mm-hmm. Well, okay. So I don't think I ever even knew, maybe, or I don't have a memory of this, that you can go to the alley, you can keep going further back. There's like a back.
Oh my gosh.
And when you're, one thing that's cool is like after, like, so as a kid, like right, like before you're going to go into the Temple of Time, like you've got all three things, and Ganondorf has like taken over the like kingdom or whatever, and like Zelda's run off. If you go back there, there's like a guard who's like dying, and he's like telling you, he's like, this is like Zelda like left, and like she wanted you to have something. I assume, I don't know how you could possibly miss like the Ocarina of Time, and, like not that you're supposed to go get it, but like I assume that's what that was there for.
Whoa.
Or something. But yeah, he like has this whole like thing, and then he like dies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, that's so crazy.
But before that, like when you're just like in normal like kid time, if you go back there, there's like an old drunk guy.
Really?
Yeah,
oh
and I was like,
gosh.
this seems like they wouldn't have put it in the English. Like they would have like changed him or something, because he's like, I wish I would have like written like screenshotted or like wrote down what he said. But yeah, he's just like, whoa, like he's just like got like some drunk guy line, and he's like. I need to find like another thing to drink or something.
Classic drunk guy thing to say.
I don't know what he said, but it was just like
crazy.
That was like the only time where it was like, I bet this is different in English. Like,
yeah, they probably did change that.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing that I noticed, this isn't really, I mean, I guess it's to the style of that they wrote it in Japanese. It's like somehow. Shout out to Nakajima Sensei. There was like, there's so many words for I in Japanese, and somehow there was even more that I like didn't know in this game. Yeah, that like different characters would use. Like the owl uses like a certain one, and like all the Kokiri like kids use oira, which is like we, but I'd like never seen that before.
Weird.
And then like
Weird.
I think there's even other ones where it's like, oh, the Deku tree uses like a really weird one that I think is supposed to be like, you know, like kind of like an old style,
Oh yeah,
like an old fashioned kind of like
that's
word.
so cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. That I wondered. Is there just like a whole other level of like literariness to the writing of this game in Japanese?
I would not
that sounds
say
very
so.
Okay.
In general, like I'd say it's well translated.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
and another one is the Gerudos like use a different one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like so weird.
That's so interesting.
Just like every time there was a new one, I was like, how is there more of the, like as I would look up what is this word?
That's so that's especially crazy. You having like been speaking Japanese daily for like the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like to be encountering words for I that you've never seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is like no one ever uses them.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
only see them in like anime and like games and stuff is I think really the thing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like and like movies probably or
Yeah.
like no one ever really like there's like 3 that people actually use basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe like 4.
Interesting.
But
even that's a lot.
I mean, yeah, it's still like compared to English, yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Another note I made is there's some good comedy in this game.
Okay.
Just like I feel like just like there's just like silliness. Like
Yeah.
when I wrote down like what just made me laugh was when you go to the Zora's domain and you bring back the bottle with the like note in it that the princess has been eaten or whatever.
Yeah.
The king. Do you remember this? He like scoots over so you can get in.
Yeah, and it takes
And it's
so
like 30
long.
seconds long of him just, and it's like
I was planning on talking to you about that. Yeah. I just forgot. That's
and then there's
so
also
funny.
like in the Goron place. I don't remember when this happens, but like when he's like dancing. Oh, it's you play Saria's song to him.
Oh yeah.
Like the song of friendship or whatever,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
just like da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. He's like, yeah, this rocks.
If only this were a video podcast, you could see your dancing here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually. I'm blanking on what my exact example would be, but there were like 4 or 5 times in this game where I like busted up laughing.
Yeah,
just at little comments they'd make, or like very very unnecessarily comical like physical comedy moments.
I think and that has a lot to do I think with because I can't think of anything really that happens as adult Link, but it's like that's you know that's really what sets up that whole like tone of just like this is like a fun like family adventure at the beginning, like everyone's having like a good time, like you know there's like bad stuff happening, but it's like everything's fine, like nobody's like really dying except for the Deku tree, which is like very sad and did like destroy me as a child.
But then there's the new one,
the little baby.
He's not really dead. It's beautiful, even though
the cycle of life,
cycle of Deku life. Another one though that I want to just talk about this in general. Didn't know if I was misunderstanding this. When you save the Gerudo Sage, and you find her as a kid, right, in the Spirit Temple. No, the Spirit Temple. You find her and she says,
Gerudo. Oh yeah.
Gerudo, yeah. And then she says, I need you to get these silver gauntlets for me. I'll do you a big favor when you get back. And then as an adult, you find her again, or when she becomes a sage, you talk to her and she says, I'll give you this instead of my favor. it's a shame that I don't get to do you the favor I was going to do you because you're a very handsome man.
Yeah.
Was she going to bang young Link?
I feel like that.
What did that mean?
I feel like that is the connotation. Yes.
Because I was just like, what am I? I'm misunderstanding this. That's so weird.
There's a video essay that like
On this line of dialogue.
that I watched, and I sent it to you, and you watched some of it, I think. But this was like before GOG was even a twinkle in our eye.
Oh, okay.
Let me. It's like give the name of it. So it's Ocarina of Time, a masterclass in subtext.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic one.
It has. If you're listening to this, you've probably watched it because it has millions of views.
Yeah, I've had that suggested to me on YouTube. I think upwards of 100 times.
Yeah, I like he does a good job. There's definitely things I don't agree with, and like one of the things he talks about is that all of the sages like represent different things.
Oh, interesting.
And he says that like she represents like sexuality or something.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
like that's literally the only like thing that even hints towards that at all. Like I don't necessarily agree that all this because like. And he also says like Impa represents something, but it's like, what does Impa represent?
Yeah,
I can't think
she
of
has like 2 lines of dialogue in the
Exactly.
second half of the game. Like,
yeah, like you literally only see her in the sage's like thing when they give you the medallion. Like that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't necessarily like. Yes, obviously, like Saria is like friendship, like a symbol of friendship and stuff, and like, Ruta, the Zora princess, is like romantic love kind of and stuff.
But that's not even like, it's not really romantic love. It's like it's just like a weird, like kind of fun little like flirty dynamic or something. Yeah, I don't know. They don't represent stuff. They're just characters. They're just like, some of them are like, they're surprisingly well-developed characters for the small amount of screen time they actually have.
Exactly.
And that is absolutely impressive, but it's like, they're not, I don't know. I disagree with this video essay that you've summarized to me.
I mean, it talks about more than that, but yeah.
So, the only note that I have written down for this game is everybody wants to bang Link. That's the only thing I wrote down.
The line that I wrote is, Link is a playa.
It's like, he doesn't even mean to be, though, but just everybody wants him.
Yeah, well, the other note is like he only gets along well with like girls basically, and like most of like the other characters are girls.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, and I feel like that's another reason we talked about in last episode that it's like this like perfect like male like kid male fantasy.
Yeah.
This is like the other element of it is like you're surrounded by all these like girls and like all of them seem like equally like they could be like. You know, like Link's girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
It's like there's like Malin, and then there's obviously Zelda.
Wow. Yeah.
Ruta, Saria.
Yeah.
I feel like Saria like is never portrayed in that light at all.
Yeah, she's just Link's buddy.
And then there's the Garuda lady that we talked about already.
Yeah. Is that
I mean, even like
Nibiru.
I don't remember her name.
Nibiru,
yeah. Oh my god. Oh, I screenshotted this. I'm gonna put this in. Oh my, I gotta look up what it is. Okay, because it's I remember I looked it up and I screenshotted it in the Japanese and English because this was actually the only major thing. Okay, so in the spirit dungeon, so the boss fight is the twin witches.
Yeah.
Kome and whatever. Kotake and Kome.
Yeah.
And so you fight them. It's a pretty cool boss fight. You have to like use the shield to like
it's pretty interesting.
bounce the thing back.
Yeah.
And then after a certain point, they like combine.
Yeah.
So what it says in Japanese is Kotoke and Kome's sexy dynamite attack.
Oh, that's funny.
And like,
because they say dynamic dynamite attack or something like that in English.
And then
right?
and then Link goes, and then she winks at him. And that happens in the English too, but like it doesn't make sense because like there's there's no like lead up, and I was just like, what is happening? I literally like paused it immediately. I was like, I have to screenshot this. So that will be on our Twitter as well.
Yeah, and that's the exact tone of the sexuality in this game that just keeps on coming up, where it's just like Link's like, ah.
Yeah.
It's like, ah.
I mean, Link's reaction to literally everything is like, oh, and he like kind of backs up like every time Sheik appears. It's like, and then he like tries to like go towards her and
every time.
And smoke bombs out of there.
Her? You mean him?
Sorry, spoilers.
It is weird how they always refer to Sheik as him, where it's like, they know we know, right?
Yeah.
They put her in Smash.
Yeah. And then that's maybe like one of the best boss fights in the game. Because like it is just a little more interesting than I think that one, and the hands are pretty fun. The hand one I think is the hardest boss in the game.
Yeah, that's definitely
it because it'll like do some serious damage to you when those hands hit you. And that's that goes back to it's not eyes and hands, but it's like it's basically close enough to what we talked about with Star Fox. 64
100%. This is another example.
Yeah,
floating disembodied hands.
Though I don't think Miyamoto designed any of the bosses in this game.
Oh, interesting.
Aonuma was the like main boss guy and the main like dungeon guy.
Okay,
he made I think like 6 of the dungeons or something like that.
Okay. You know, actually, I'm going to say I'm going to come out critical on the bosses in this game in general. Because I don't think there's really a single boss battle in this game that I really noted as being particularly fun. Some of them are pretty interesting, and I mean they're all successful. I think like where none of them are horrible, but it's like there are no boss battles in this game I would redo for fun. I think.
Interesting.
I've pretty much used walkthroughs for all of them, and just because I wanted to get it over with.
I feel like they're pretty easy to like figure out for the most part.
Yeah. That was more towards the end where I was just kind of trying to get through it.
Yeah. That's well, we'll see what I have to say about Majora's Mask. No, but
wow, because I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah, we'll
really?
see.
Okay,
but I think we're gonna have the opposite opinion. I'm imagining.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't think most of the boss battles are that like amazing or anything. Like there's especially I think. Maybe the worst one is the dragon one that I watched you do.
Yeah. That one is just...
Like, it is, like, cool that it's a dragon.
Yeah.
And I imagine that went, like most of the way at the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's not something I noted in the moment for any of the bosses. It's thinking back now where I'm just like, none of them really stick out to me as fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the witches are one of the funner ones for sure. Oh, and then you beat them, and they disentangle and turn into like ghosts with the halos over their heads.
Yeah, this part is so weird.
They have like a weird like comedic like back and forth.
Yeah, they're like, what's that over your head? And it's a halo, and then they float up to heaven.
And they're like, you got one too, and they're like, no, I don't. Blah, blah, blah. And then like, whoop, they just disappear. It's great. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, that was just all very interesting. Those witches.
I feel like that is like. That and like the weird like all the weird like sexual stuff is like indicative or like kind of shows that like I think it may, especially as a kid, like the adult Link world seemed really dark, but it's like it's really not. It's really just like a couple of moments. It's like when you come out and like the zombies are there in Hyrule Market and stuff, and like there's like the weird like ghost like the Poe salesman or whatever. Like that guy's creepy.
And then just seeing all of the other areas in Hyrule kind of fallen into ruin adds to that. But ultimately it's
like they don't look, or most of the places don't look that different.
Yeah.
It's like, Hyrule Field looks the same. Like the lake looks the same. Like I love that the fishing shop is still like, it's like it has not been affected. Did you do the fishing?
I had a lot of fun with that actually.
Yeah. There's a story about the fishing that it was like, I don't know if it was like somebody working on it. It was like a programmer or something. So, some guy just like was like, I'm going to try and make fishing. Like he didn't tell anybody. And then he was like, hey, like I made this fishing thing. And they were like, what?
That's so funny.
And he was like, and they're like, okay, then I guess we have to like add this whole like area to it and to the game and stuff.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's like a fully like fleshed out fishing game.
Yeah. Yeah, and okay, I will say that out of every Zelda game I've ever played, this probably has the most fun mini games for me.
Wow.
Because
Really?
up until this point, the mini games in Zelda games have always been something that I basically avoid at all costs. Whereas in this, like the fishing one, I had a lot of fun doing.
Yeah.
I definitely did more than I needed to. The Gerudo archery on the horseback was I tried. I didn't ever get the second one, the bigger quiver.
Yeah.
But like I tried that so many times and I enjoyed it. And there's another one.
I didn't like
too.
that one. Like I
yeah.
feel like the aiming is just not quite.
Oh yeah, for
like,
sure. It
there.
is. Yeah, the aiming in general is just so abysmal that it
Yeah.
made it really tough. But it was just fun. But yeah, because like I should save it for the pod. But in Majora's Mask, like I don't like any of those mini games.
Yeah.
Or I like them in concept, but they're so hard.
Yeah, a lot of them are so hard. Yeah.
That first one, like with the Deku scrub, you're floating to land on the things.
Like in the time limit.
Yeah, like I think I must have tried that like probably 100 times in my childhood. I only ever once even got close to finishing, I think.
Like the harder ones, or just even the first one?
The first one I'm just talking about in particular.
wow,
I just had a complex relationship with that one as a kid.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just don't listen. We got to save this for the pod, but I just am not like convinced that the whole like Deku like the Deku like
the flower
seed flower jumping thing is like
a
good idea at all.
Yeah, save it for the pod, but I do see where you're coming from with that. I've always really enjoyed that, but that might just be because of childhood associations. But
Yeah.
I can entertain that idea.
Okay, another thing I noticed about this game, Ocarina of Time. Did you notice that adult Link has a pierced ear and an earring?
Oh yeah, the 2 earrings, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't have it as a kid, which means that the like Light Sage guy pierced his ears when he like because he's like trapped into like the sage place for 7 years. So like I was like, I'll just
Wow, you're right.
really crazy.
I support that. It's a good look for him. It works.
Yeah.
If I were that,
He obviously like also got him new clothes because his clothes wouldn't have fit. So
this is getting into creepy territory.
It was just that guy's doll for 7 years.
Oh my, that's really weird.
He's like, I had no choice. I had to keep you unconscious.
Devin.
Yeah. Okay. So this is we're getting to now my thoughts on kind of the game in general and like the ending and kind of like the themes of the game in general. So I guess I'll just go into them since we're gonna come back to comparing it to Majora's Mask. But like I feel, especially thinking about I never thought about it this way, but looking at it in the lens of like going through Miyamoto's career and kind of like learning more about Miyamoto himself.
Yeah.
I feel that this game is like the purest expression of Miyamoto's like
wow.
Like his whole like I feel like what his whole thing in with games and also just like in general is that like he's like very interested in like returning or like using games as a way to like return people to like their childhood or like or just like his games are marketed to, or like meant for kids mostly. And also like I think he talks about like obviously a lot of the games, his game ideas come from him like thinking back to when he was a kid and like trying to recreate those like
for sure
those like feelings and emotions and stuff. And this game is about being a kid and then like becoming an adult and everything sucks. Like the world sucks and like people are bad now. Like you go to when you're an adult and you go back to Lon Lon Ranch, like the nice like guy has been kicked out. And it's like the mean like uncle or what I don't know what his relationship is, but like now he's in charge and like everyone sucks when you're an adult.
And you have to return to your childhood essentially, like repeatedly, just to survive.
Well, and like the end of the game is like you can't like Zelda is basically like you have to go back to being a kid because like you missed your childhood. Like you're not supposed to be here. And like That honestly made me emotional. Like
Yeah.
this time playing through, because it was like, yeah, like we are adult Link now. Like we can't
Yeah.
go back.
Yeah.
Like playing these games is like the closest we can get. Basically.
I did have that thought at one point where it's like,
Yeah.
like we are experiencing it. We are returning to our childhood through time. Like playing these
Yeah.
games is a form of time travel.
And like as a kid, I was always disappointed by the ending of like, but, like adult Link is like cooler and like he should be with like Zelda and everyone, but it's like. No, that's clearly not what Miyamoto is trying to say. Like, Miyamoto is trying to say that, like, no, like, when you're like an innocent kid, and like that's when the world is great, and like you should go back to that.
Oh wow!
And it also that makes Majora's Mask all that more dark because, like another view of the ending, and especially like the one like kind of how it leads into Majora's Mask is that it's like a really like dark ending in a way because Link gets sent back to being a kid and then they don't explain it, but like there's no like dialogue or anything, but Navi like flies away
Yeah.
like in the Temple of Time, and so he's like without Navi, he's like without his like the way because I was thinking about it, is like Navi is like really his like only family.
Wow.
Because he has no like parents.
Yeah.
Like his father figure in a way is like the Deku Tree, but the Deku Tree dies at the beginning of the game. And like, and then like Navi was like given to him by the Deku, or like told the Deku Tree told Navi to like take care of Link and like see him through, but then she like leaves.
Yeah.
And the beginning of Majora's Mask is him looking for Navi because like it doesn't say, but it's like the opening cutscene is like him like looking for his friend is what it says.
Is that really what it says?
Yeah. He's like going through the Lost Woods looking for Navi.
Oh my god. I never realized that's what that is.
Yeah. And so like he's just alone at like the end of the game. And yeah, and there's like the whole thing of he grew up with the Kokiri, but he's not one of them.
Yeah.
And like they stay children forever, but he like won't.
Yeah. I also found that interesting. That's why when you go back as an adult, no one recognizes you because they don't even understand. They're like,
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
Well, no,
they're like,
Link,
you remind me of someone.
Yeah, but like to them, Link was a Kokiri, so he would never become an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, like if they think he is, because they know he's different.
Yeah.
Like they all treat him like everyone except for Saria basically like treats you kind of like shit.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the game, they're like,
yeah.
What are you doing here? Like, the Deku Tree wants to see you.
Yeah.
Like he should be calling me.
Exactly what that guy's voice sounds like. Even though you never hear him, that's what he sounds like.
Yeah, he's like a Brooklyner. So yeah, I feel it's like very affecting in that way. Like I'd say overall, like the story and stuff is like it's very like vanilla, like it's very like boilerplate in a lot of ways. I do think like the Sheik stuff is cool. Like if you didn't know that was coming, that'd be a cool reveal.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing I was thinking is like they should make a game where you play Sheik. That would be really, because like like Zelda's clearly doing other stuff. Like while Link
That's true, yeah.
Because like there's when you like go to Kokoriki Village after doing the water temple and like the whole like thing comes out of the well, you know? There's that cutscene.
Yeah.
And Sheik tells you to go to the graveyard to like go to the spirit temple. She's like, I'll deal with like this.
Yeah. That would be such a cool game. Like Sheik's like just everything Zelda does during the timeline of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Like what about those 7 years?
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah. And like it'd be like a completely different like I imagine like they would control very differently.
Yeah.
Because it's like, being like more like a ninja character than like a knight kind of.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, I think we literally said this in a different episode, but it's like Zelda is such an interesting character. It's like insane that they haven't given her own game because it's like Zelda with her magical powers is like cool and interesting. Like at the end when she's running around, that kind of really surprised me.
Yeah.
And then also she's Sheik too.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
come on.
Yeah, she's just like a badass.
There's so much to go off here.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Yeah, I know.
Breath of the Wild 2.
Hopefully
please.
Breath of the Wild 2, yeah. I recently watched that trailer and I realized I had never seen it.
Really?
Yeah. I remember
That's
like hearing you
crazy.
talking about it and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I think I've seen that."
That's funny.
And
I
then
mean,
I just realized I never had.
you weren't missing that much, obviously, but
Yeah,
that's funny.
but
It's
it is,
only
like-
a minute long. Like, how did you not watch that?
I honestly think I just like somehow got into the mindset that I had already seen it. I was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't really like show anything."
Now I got to send you the one where someone remade it entirely with Ocarina of Time graphics.
Oh,
you
I've
already
seen
saw it.
I watched it.
It's way better than the original.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really insane. But yeah, hopefully that is something that happens in Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah,
I mean,
hopefully they all turn into Ocarina of Time graphics. That's what you mean,
honestly,
right?
yes.
Oh, that'd be so cool. What if there was like a sequence where that happened, kind of like in Mario Odyssey?
Yeah, they don't bring it back to 2D like graphics. They just bring it back to N64 graphics. That'd be amazing.
that would be so amazing.
Yeah, no, I honestly like, because honestly, I mean, obviously they remade the game for 3DS and like redid all the graphics and stuff. And when I look at those, it's like it doesn't look better to me.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's just it definitely is just my nostalgia, but it's like I would rather play with like, and there's
Yeah.
also like there's YouTube videos of like people have made like HD
Oh
like,
yeah, of course. Yeah, like they did
versions
it
of like
in,
certain areas and stuff.
Unreal Engine. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like
yeah,
yeah, this looks cool, but it's like I don't want this.
yeah, yeah. I think there is maybe a better version in theory that would be slightly more advanced in the textures of the environments. I think that is improved in the 3DS version.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the old sprite, not sprites, but like models of all the characters.
They're so iconic.
They're
yeah.
so like they are kind of dated, but they're just advanced enough where it's not quite like detrimental, and it's just so nostalgic and like kind of like.
Well, yeah, and maybe
stylistic.
part of it is that I was playing on an emulator with like, kind of like, I had like some like filters on to make it like improve the graphics a little bit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it's not, like nothing, like not adding anything new
Yeah,
to
yeah,
it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
just like, so it's like a little higher res.
Yeah.
But it's like like Link and like some of the other characters and like his weapons and stuff, like honestly look still really like good. Like,
yeah.
like they would be fine in like a PlayStation 2 game
Yeah.
or like an Xbox game.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like it's really just like the backgrounds and like
And
stuff
maybe
that are like
maybe people's faces. When they revealed Zelda's adult face, I was like,
yeah. I mean, I like them, but like yeah, like they're like
yeah,
four shapes or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any other thoughts? Oh, we should talk about well, okay, we'll talk about when the game came out, how it was received, and then a final thought from Miyamoto.
Okay.
So the game came out in 1998. As I said, other games of that year: Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid, StarCraft. Fallout 2, Dance Dance Revolution, Grim Fandango. Generally, Soul Calibur, the original Soul Calibur, it's generally considered one of like the best years of video games.
What year did you say that was? 88?
1998.
98. Okay.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time sold more than 7 million copies. It was at the time like the highest like pre-order like of any game of all time.
A lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
After years of hype, and then
And it is the highest rated game on Metacritic of all time.
that's great.
And obviously it's like considered by a lot of people one of the the greatest game of all time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what Andy said last time. It's like if he would recommend that as the one video game to play people. I think that there's a lot of people, maybe myself included, who would agree with that.
Yeah. But this is how Miyamoto remembered. I don't remember exactly when this interview is from, but he said, "It was the first game that my daughter sat down and played a lot of. And as a result, she became a really big Zelda fan. So I remember Ocarina of Time as the game that allowed my daughter and I to start having a lot of conversations about video games." It's just beautiful.
Oh, that's so nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And like, it's like perfect considering like the themes of the game. I feel
Yeah.
like.
Oh,
So great.
wow. You're actually you're making me realize how I didn't have that emotional reaction to it playing it. I think partially because I was fatigued from playing it nonstop for the last 4 days.
Yeah.
And then with Andy,
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, and also you don't have like the nostalgia for it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But you did tell me, I'm curious if this changed or like what your thought or why you even thought this to begin with. But when you first started playing again this time, you were like, I don't know, I might like it more than Majora's Mask or whatever. Like, I'm coming over.
Yeah, I think I actually I should say this for the Majora's one, but I think what I realized is that my very specific opinion about of this game is that it is close to perfect, and I think that if they were to cut out several dungeons, several temples, I think if the fire and water temple weren't in it, which I mean, story wise, I realize it doesn't make any sense, and it's not as symmetrical. But those two, the time I got the closest to finishing the game years ago on 3DS, I got to the fire temple. I think I may even beat it, and I was just like, I don't want to play this anymore. And then this time, I was super into it like a month and a half ago. I got to that point, and I was just like, I don't want to play this anymore. And I had to force myself to get through the water temple. Like, I can't even tell you how truly painful it was for me. I don't know why.
Wow.
And then I got to the Shadow Temple, and that's probably my favorite dungeon. Like almost out of any Zelda.
That's
out of
insane.
Majora's
I feel like
Mask
that's
as well.
one of the worst.
What? It's so cool. It's so cool. Are you crazy?
Like, do you like using the lens of truth?
Yeah, of course. It's fun. Is that not fun for you?
I mean, I feel like it gets like over, like, I mean, it's the same thing with like, I agree that like the water temple is not great.
It is. I mean, there's not even anything I could pinpoint about it other than the obvious stuff, but I just found it so boring.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it is kind of confused. It was a lot easier than I remember. Like, I remember as a kid, like that dungeon being like insane.
And I mean, it obviously
and
has
that is their reputation. Yeah. But honestly, a lot of it is, and like, so Aonuma is the guy who made that dungeon, and he's like the main Zelda guy, and he apparently to this day says like, it's not that hard. It's just like really annoying.
Yeah,
you have to, like,
I would absolutely.
You have to take the boots on and off.
Yeah,
and
that's annoying. And then the water level, obviously.
Yeah, changing the water level.
And especially, see, I was using a walkthrough a lot for different parts of it. And I can see why if you miss something, it's going to be such a pain to change the water and go back to that.
Yeah.
I absolutely get that. But it's like, it's really not. I was expecting something so next level complicated.
Yeah,
because I had never played that one before.
Yeah.
It really wasn't.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
Yeah.
Okay, well, and the Shadow Temple has a couple of like parts that I found really annoying. Like there's like the section with like all the guillotines, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like you have to like jump through them at the right time, and then there's like the fight with the Stalfos at the end of that. And like if you get knocked out, you have to like go back, like not even to the beginning of that room, like back before that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I get that. I don't know. I just that one has such a crazy, interesting tone, and so many weird things happen.
Yeah,
and it's just solid.
Have you watched the video? I haven't watched it, but there's a video on YouTube about like that, like the song.
Oh
for
yeah,
the Shadow Temple. That's like, why is the Shadow Temple so creepy or whatever? Like, how did they make this song?
I saw some video about how it's like they use. It's like Koji doesn't. There's like no rhythm to it or something, and it's like all the music in all the temples is always just this kind of free floating like melodies, and that adds to the structurelessness of the song, the feeling like unsettling feeling and stuff. Yeah. And I did think about that a lot, but
I feel like one of the hardest dungeons is the forest dungeon, actually.
Oh, really?
Because
interesting.
First of all, there's that like first treasure chest that we both missed.
100%.
Before you go into the dungeon, there's a treasure chest.
How could anyone get that naturally?
I feel like there is something that hints towards it, but I was like, obviously we both just like completely missed it. And then there's just like the like, shooting the like the paintings of the pose.
Yeah.
But, like, they don't tell you to do that. Like,
Like, I feel like I knew how to do that just because I have, like, a vague memory of doing it before. So I was like, oh, yeah, I should do this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then also it's like, wow, how would you think to do that?
Yeah, because honestly, I probably looked that up in a walkthrough the first time I ever played that dungeon.
Yeah.
And then this time I just, like you, I had a memory of it. But yeah. See, yeah, I think that for me, I just in general, and this is a weird opinion to have, I don't like dungeons that much. When I play Zelda games, I
have the exact
kind of
opposite. Like for this and Majora's Mask, and like when I was playing Wind Waker, it was like, especially Wind Waker, it was like when I got to the dungeon, it was like, okay, now this is like a Zelda game. And before it was just like, this is so like, there's like nothing like to do, and like this is like there's nothing happening.
And see, that might be partially because as a kid I played Majora's Mask all the time, and the first like probably many times.
There's a lot more in Majora's Mask that's not dungeons.
Yeah,
like,
and that is always so much more fun to me. Like the stuff in the town, you know, and just like dealing with the time. But yeah, and it's like for me, I what I like in the dungeons is the feeling and the like the kind of ambiance of them, and that's why to me the Forest Temple and the Shadow Temple are by far the most interesting because they have this whole vibe. And the Fire Temple and the Water Temple are so boring. It's just
the
puzzles.
Fire Temple actually, the Fire Temple actually has an interesting, like, little factoid about it.
Okay,
that is, they unwittingly, like they took sounds from like a sound library.
Yeah.
And they took like real Islamic chanting.
Yeah.
Do you know about this?
I heard about this. Yeah.
And they had to like take it out.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever actually like was released that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like just like at like the very beginning, like in Japan or something.
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
that's what I had heard is that it was before they released it, they took it out, but it was still like a famous rumor for some reason.
I like the Fire Temple, like kind of like I remember being like, this is like fun and like very doable. I feel like it's like I don't think I had to look anything up, and it was just like, this is just like enjoyable. What I like, okay, we need to finish this, but this is my like, what I like about the dungeons is like they're like these self-contained little things. It's like, okay, you go in and you know everything you need to do it is in this dungeon, and so like, even if you're confused, like, you know, like, okay, there's only like 3 or 4 places I can go to like try and figure out what to do next. Whereas overworld stuff, and especially Majora's Mask, I feel like we'll get to my feelings on this, is just like there's so much stuff where it's like, how would I know to do this? Like, especially with Majora's Mask, it's like you have to do this at a specific time at a specific place, and it's like no, like there's like infinite possibilities. It feels like, you know, of like places you could go, and like, we'll get into it, but
that is a good point.
That's my feeling on it.
Yeah,
I feel like that, you know, they solved those issues for me with Breath of the Wild, like where it's like the overworld is like the point of Breath of the Wild, not the dungeons.
Yeah,
it's like the dungeons are like there.
And also that
like I wish like if they made the dungeons like really cool in the second one, like then it would be like, that's like the only way you could make that game better.
that because like the dungeons in Breath of the Wild are just like, they're like barely dungeons. Yeah,
I mean like the 4 like
that's what I mean.
Yeah, they're like cool because like, I mean like the 3D map and stuff is cool, but
it's really cool in concept. But I found, I mean, especially coming from what I'm just saying, but it's like those are so boring to me.
Really? Yeah, I mean, I liked them, obviously.
I'm probably going to play Breath of the Wild like several more times.
Did you like the shrines?
Yeah, I kind of like those.
Okay.
I find them, I'm not ever psyched to go do them, but it's like, I do enjoy doing them because they're so short, most of them.
Okay, well, we spent a lot of time not talking about Ocarina of Time, but also a lot of time talking about it. So.
We spent a lot of time.
We spent 2 episodes talking about it, okay? You can't be disappointed with us.
Literally 2.5 hours.
And I was worried that this would go long, and it did. So.
Yeah, and I also just, I want the listener to know that we've been sitting here for 2.5 hours. This was all one session.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go and eat sushi and talk more, which is crazy.
We can only talk about Ocarina of Time.
I'm sure that's what we're going to talk about.
But yeah, one of the best games of all time.
I will absolutely agree to that. Despite, whatever problems I may have with it. Having now finally finished it for the first time, I absolutely agree with its status.
Well, and especially and you also have to think about it as if you hadn't played Majora's Mask, it's all of that was new.
Yeah, that's
100% of that was new.
Absolutely. Because I mean, in college we watched Star Wars, and you changed my life with the words that you said. Where you said the first Star Wars is probably my favorite because before then there was no Star Wars, and then there was Star Wars, and it's like before this there was no 3D Zelda, and then there was 3D Zelda. It was
like borderline no 3D like action adventure games.
And it's just in this game. I mean, so much of what I love about Majora's Mask and all the other ones comes from directly from this.
Yeah.
And it's like it just wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But you'll have to join us next time when we talk about Majora's Mask.
I really hope you aren't sick of hearing us talk about Zelda, because it's not even close to the end.
I really hope we're not sick of playing Zelda too.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
because we got a bit of that ahead of us. We'll talk about that off pod.
Save it for off the pod.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, Gamography Pod at Twitter, gamographypod.com. Right?
Yep. That's it. Tweet at us. Follow us, please.
Please. I beg you.
And bye-bye.